Hello students. Now this is the chapter that we are discussing currently. Now in this chapter we are going to see the next topic, that is environmental long-term effects of soil pollution. So this long-term effects means what? Long-term effects means environment is not damaged by a small effect that it shows, say the human activities is showing. But if that activities are continuing for a long time, okay, then it will affect the environment. Okay. Now if you take for example the Musi river in Hyderabad. Okay. Now Musi river in Hyderabad was once a river from where people used to collect water. Okay. But because of a lot of globalization, lot of expansion of the city, what happened? Whatever waste which was generated was dumped into the Musi river. Okay. So now it has become a drainage basically. Okay. It has become a drainage. Similarly, Tank Bund in Hyderabad also was a bund where people used to come and drink water, or they used to collect water. Okay. Now because of the human activities, it is getting polluted. So in turn, the marine life inside the Musi river as well as the Hussain Sagar lake is getting polluted. Okay. So these are the long-term effects. Okay. So how the long-term effects of how the long-term efforts of soil pollution, how they are damaging the environment, which is what we are going to see now. Okay, right? So when it comes to environment itself, the toll of contaminated soil is even more. So as I told you, in the Musi river, the soil whatever is there is now highly contaminated. Okay, even when there are floods in Hyderabad, even the Musi river extended its banks and came into the city, even then the soil is again polluted. Okay. Now the soil that has been contaminated should no longer be used to grow food, because if you don't use the soil for food, okay, then you'll be getting good nutrients from a soil in which the food is made or cultivated. Okay. But if you are trying to cultivate that plant in the soil which is contaminated, then what will happen? Whatever contaminants are there will enter into the plant, and from the plant it will enter into your system. Okay. So you should be very, very careful about that. Okay. Because the chemicals can leach into the food and harm the people who eat it. So it's a very simple reason. The chemicals will leach into the food means the chemical will enter into the food. Okay. So leach is nothing but chemical will entering. Okay. The chemicals will be entering into the food and then they will harm the people. Okay, right? Now, if the contaminated soil is used to grow food, the land will usually produce low yields than it would if it were not contaminated. Definitely, it's a definite cause if the land is contaminated, and if you are cultivating some crops on that particular soil, automatically what will happen? Because the soil is contaminated, the quality of the food which you are getting will also reduce, and also the yield of the crop will reduce. Okay, right? So the farmer will be at loss. Then this might cause more harm because a lack of plant on the soil will cause more erosion. Obviously, yes. Now what will happen? If there are no plants, that means what? There are no roots. So if there are no roots, the sand or the mud, whatever the roots grip, okay, will not be there. So what will happen? The soil can be eroded by various means, like say water, it can be eroded, then it can be eroded through wind, okay, right, and various other eroding agents. Okay, right. So spreading the contaminants onto land that might not have been tainted before, that means that have not have been contaminated before. Tainted means contaminated. Okay, right. So let us just look back at this point, the fourth point what I have written here. This might cause more harm because lack of plants in the soil will cause more erosion. So you know what erosion is? The removal of the topsoil from the soil. Okay, removal of the topsoil from the soil, because the topsoil contains all the nutrients required for the plants and animals. So the plant's roots will not be able to grip them properly, and finally the soil will get eroded. And because if say for example the wind is blowing on the soil which is barren, barren means there is no plants growing. Okay, so the wind will blow the soil, so that soil is containing contaminants. So what will happen, those contaminants will fly and they'll get deposited at any other place. Okay, and that soil will get again contaminated. Okay, right. Then fifth point is, in addition to the pollutants, the pollutants will change the makeup of the soil and the types of microorganisms that live in. This is very, very important. This point is very important. So whatever pollutants are there, okay, right, if at all these pollutants, what they will do, they will alter the soil's pH. Okay, so I think you know that soil pH should range from 5.5 to 7. Okay, 5.5 to 7. But what they will do, they will make it more, they can make it more alkaline, that is more than 7, or more acidic, that is less than 7. So that is not an optimal condition for the plants to grow. Okay, and because the pollutants are altering the soil, altering the makeup of the soil, so what is happening, the microorganisms which are living in it can undergo mutations. Okay, they can undergo mutations, and the microorganisms also will get affected. They can undergo mutations and use these pollutants and turn the soil even more acidic. Okay, right. So that pollutants will have that much of capacity in them. All right. Now, next point, if certain organisms die off in the area, the larger predator animals will also have to move away or die because they have lost their food supply. So say for example, what is happening here, if at all we remove the plants from the soil, okay, so if the plants are removed, say for example if you are talking about a land ecosystem, okay, so in that you have plants, in that you have animals living which are dependent on plants, and in that, and again in that you will have your say lions which are there, that is a top predator which is there, which are dependent on the animals which are eating plants. Okay, now in that kind of a scenario, what will happen, if the plants are removed from that particular soil, the deers will die. Okay, and if the deers are dying, then the top predator also will die, because the food is lacking, the food will be lacking. So what will happen here, so if that soil pollution is occurring, then the whole ecosystem will get changed, or it will get damaged. All right. Now moving on. Now we will see control of soil pollution. Okay. So in this earlier slide we have seen environmental long-term effects. These are the long-term effects which produce soil pollution. Okay. Now we are going to look at control of soil pollution. So how do we control soil pollution? Okay. Now there are some variety of steps in this that we will discuss one by one as we go on. Okay. Now control of soil pollution. Soil erosion can be controlled by a variety of forestry and farm practices. Now variety of forestry means what? Afforestation. Okay. Afforestation means planting more trees. Okay. And farm practices. So say doing organic farming, that is one way that the soil pollution can be controlled. Okay. Now the example is planting trees on barren slopes, contour cultivation and strip cropping may be practiced instead of shifting cultivation, terracing and building diversion channels may be undertaken. Okay, right. So contour slopes, contour cultivation, that we will look in the later part of the chapter. Just remember as of now, planting trees on barren slopes, contour cultivation and strip cropping may be practiced instead of shifting cultivation, terracing and building diversion channels may be undertaken. So that can be done as an example. Then reducing deforestation and substituting chemical manures by animal waste also help arrest soil erosion in the long run. Okay. So you reduce chemical manures, then replace it by animal waste. So animal waste are very rich in the minerals which are required for the plant. Okay, so they help in arresting the soil erosion in long term. So in the long term, because we are using animal wastes, what will happen? The nutrients will be in the soil and the soil will become enriched. Okay, then second, proper dumping of unwanted materials. Now when I say proper dumping means proper throwing of unwanted materials. Okay, now excess waste by man and animals pose a disposal problem. So whatever waste we are generating, say for example you are eating something in your car, you are drinking a milkshake in your car, okay, and what you do after you finish it, you will not store it in your car to throw it in the dustbin. Generally people, what they do, you might have seen it on the roads also, they'll just put their window down and throw it outside on the road. Okay, so that is that negligence that people have developed these days, which has to be controlled. Okay, right? So excess waste by man and animals pose a disposal problem. So you just dispose it on the door. Where is that plastic going? It is going somewhere and staying there, and it will not allow the water to seep in. That is the main problem there. Okay, then open dumping is the most commonly practiced technique. You know that many municipal trucks, they collect garbage from various places and they go to a dumping yard and they dump that waste. That is basically called as open dumping. Nowadays controlled tipping is followed by solid waste disposal. The surface so obtained is used for housing, sports or sport field. Okay, now so what are they doing here? Controlled tripping. Controlled tripping means what? Whatever waste is generated is taken and it is stripped onto a particular place. Okay, now once that is done, then the solid waste disposal is taken off. Okay, right, it is taken care of. So solid waste disposal is taken care of, and the surface so obtained is used for housing and sport field. Okay, so what they do, they take the solid waste, they dump it over there, they make it level, they make it into fine gradings, and what they do, then they will start making housing and sports fields. Okay, right? So that is one method. Then next method is production of natural fertilizers, just like your Panchagavya, which we discussed in the other chapter. Okay, now biopesticides should be used in place of toxic chemical pesticides. So we have discussed about the harmful effects of chemical pesticides as well. Okay, so biopesticides should be used in place of toxic pesticides. Okay, now organic fertilizers should be used in place of synthesized chemical fertilizer. So organic fertilizer is nothing but your Panchagavya. Okay, that's your organic fertilizer. Okay, then organic wastes in animal dung may be used to prepare compost manure instead of throwing them wastefully and polluting the soil. Simple. This is what he is talking about, Panchagavya here. So animal organic wastes, so Panchagavya uses the same thing, they use organic wastes. Okay, so that waste can be used as a fertilizer. That is, it's an organic fertilizer and it has more nutrients than the chemical fertilizer, and that will give a better yield as well, and the contaminants will not be able to enter into the plants. Okay, because we are not using any chemicals over there. Okay, right? So you're not supposed to waste organic wastes. Okay, right? You're not supposed to waste organic wastes. Okay, right? Now then, proper hygienic condition. People should be trained regarding sanitary habits. Okay, now this is where the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, okay, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, as you all know, has been initiated. Okay, so proper sanitary conditions, habits has to be developed by people. Okay, now lavatories should be equipped with quick and effective disposal methods. Now that is what the government of India is planning to do. They will have lavatories which will dispose of the waste very, very quickly. Okay, right? Then public awareness. Now informal and formal public awareness programs should be imparted to educate people on health hazards by environmental education. So, reading the book will not help you in changing the environment. You have to get out and try to educate people formally, that is by telling them, or informally by say performing any art or performing any skit on the dangerous effects what human activities are causing to the environment. Okay, so that way you can create what is called as public awareness. So if you create public awareness effectively, then people will listen to you. Okay, right? Now, moving on. So mass media, that is the mass media is nothing but your news channels. Okay, educational institutions and voluntary agencies can achieve this. So voluntary agencies, media is a powerful tool now, that is your Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, everything, all are there. That then the media is also there. So that is basically mass media. Educational institutions, yes, even your school might have initiated the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in them. Okay, and they might have done some good programs on public awareness about reducing environmental pollution, right? So, and voluntary agencies. So voluntary agencies, they will have people who will work for protecting the environment. All right, moving on. Now, recycling and reuse of waste. So reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, so these are the 3 R's. Okay, reduce, reuse and recycle. So this you might have heard many a times. Okay, so recycling and reusing wastes. So automatically if you reduce, then the reusability will be less, it will be disposed of properly. Recycle, yes, you can recycle it as well. Okay, right? But if it is in a mass scale, if you are using it, then you have to recycle and reuse of the wastes. Okay, now to minimize soil pollution, the wastes such as paper, plastic, metals, glass, organics, petroleum products and industrial effluents should be recycled and reused. So you have to recycle them and you reuse them. Okay, so there are many companies which are doing this. Okay, they are recycling the waste. Okay, and if you go and give them some waste also, they give you back money because they buy the waste. Okay, right. Then industrial waste should be properly treated at source. So when I say at source, that means what? Say for example, if an acid is coming out of a product, okay, and it has to be disposed out. So what they do, they mix acid with a base so that that particular agent is neutralized, and then they have to send it out. Okay, so at source. So at source itself, that acidic nature of the substance should be completely damaged, or it has to be completely removed. That is, it has to be completely neutralized. Okay, right? Now, integrated waste treatment method should be adopted. So integrated waste means they can be reduce, reuse and recycle. Those are the integrated waste treatment methods. Okay, right? Then ban on toxic chemicals. So you know that ban should be imposed on chemicals and pesticides like DDT, BHC, etc. Okay, right? Which are fatal to plants and animals. So DDT is very, very fatal because it pollutes the soil. BHC also, it pollutes the soil. Okay, then nuclear explosions and improper disposal of radioactive waste should be banned. So you might be knowing that in Chernobyl in Russia, there was a nuclear disaster wherein the nuclear power plant blast, just like in Fukushima, that is also a radioactive plant. So now what is happening, that entire area of that particular plants have been deserted because that radioactive material which was there, it got exposed into the air and it can cause long-term damage, and radioactive decay takes hundreds of years to occur. Okay, right? So these are the certain things. So that these can, if we are avoiding, if we are following these things, then we can control soil pollution. Okay, right? So I hope that you have understood this class very well. I hope to see you in the next session. Thank you so much.